3 weeks after Christmas every year, Preston and Constance Whittier left their home in New York and took a vacation. When the children were younger, their beloved German housekeeper Frida and one of a revolving door of nannies would take care of their 6 children. They would come home energized and refreshed after a romantic 2 or 3 week interlude alone. They both loved to ski, and a favorite spot for their holiday was one of the 3 valleys in the French Alps. They went to Courchevel, Val d'Isère or Megève in France, Zermatt and Saint-Moritz in Switzerland. Occasionally, they skied in Aspen or Vail in Colorado, but with their kids grown, they preferred to take their annual child-free vacation in Europe rather than in the States. They often took the children skiing with them when they went to Aspen during their winter break from school. Their ski trips in Europe were a special treat for Connie and Preston. They usually ended the trip with a weekend in Paris or London before heading back to New York to resume their family life. As the children got older, they teased their parents about the trip and called it their Wintermoon. They all summered on Shelter Island, in a big family house they had eventually sold when the children stopped spending summers with them and the house had become more of a burden than a joy. Connie and Preston had begun to streamline their life in recent years, cutting down on unnecessary expenses and avoiding projects that were too much work for them. In the summers, they rented a house in Maine now, or in the Hamptons, or on Cape Cod, large enough so that the children who wanted to could come and go for a few days or a weekend visit. Renting was easier than owning, and the headache of maintaining a summer home was someone else's problem, not theirs. The children never came at the same time, so they didn't need an enormous house. Preston and Connie still clung to the tradition of their Wintermoon, which they called it now, too. It was important to them, and they looked forward to it all year. After 43 years of marriage, it still felt like a honeymoon to them. Constance was 65 years old, and the time had flown. She couldn't believe how old her children were, all adults now. Even their baby, Annabelle, a late surprise, had just turned 21. Their oldest, Lyle, was 42, married with 2 children of his own, a son and daughter, Tommy 10 and Devon 7. His wife, Amanda, had been a disappointment to them all. Lyle had been enjoying his bachelorhood and burgeoning career in land development and commercial real estate 10 years ago when the girl he was dating, none too seriously, had gotten pregnant and he had married her. She had never warmed to his family, nor they to her. She was socially ambitious. Constance thought her greedy, although Preston's attitude was more charitable. She was bright and lively and fun and sexy, and knew how to turn the charm on for Lyle. But within a short time after they married, Connie didn't think Lyle looked happy. But Lyle never complained. He was loyal to a fault and wanted to make the marriage work once he'd agreed to marry Amanda.